Good morning. I'm Kim McClellan, president of the Recurrent Respiratory Papillomatosis Foundation. And today, I'm going to be presenting on the connections between RRP and HPV, as well as the HPV vaccine. As we all know, recurrent respiratory papillomatosis is the most common neoplasm of the larynx that is benign. We know there's two types: juvenile onset, which typically occurs around the age of 4, and adult onset that occurs in the third and fourth decade of life, based on reviews done by some of our most prominent researchers. We know that RRP is typically HPV 6 and HPV 11, and occasionally, especially in our adult onset, can be 16 and 18. Right now for RRP, there is no FDA-approved pharmaceutical treatment, and any pharmaceutical treatments being used today are all off-label. So what are the historical estimates of the prevalence of RRP in the US? This is where it starts to get so exciting. Prior to 2006, the RRP incident rate in juvenile onset was considered to be 4.3 per 100,000. At that time, and currently now, we estimate that roughly 15,000 surgical procedures are performed each year, with an estimated cost of $100 million. I want us to focus on the 4.3 incident rate of juvenile onset that was considered prior to 2006. Here are the current reports on RRP incident rates post-introduction of the HPV vaccine. In the United Kingdom, it now stands at 1.42 per 100,000. In the United States, remember the 4.3? Recent results in recent reviews are showing that incident rate to now be 0.5 per 100,000 since the introduction of the Gardasil vaccine. And in Australia, not only has it declined dramatically, but in 2019, the juvenile onset incident rate was 0. Yes, 0 new cases of juvenile onset in 2019. The HPV vaccine matters. Thank you so much for this opportunity today. The RRPF is so grateful. And now we'd like to share with you Eden's story and her journey with RRP.
Hey, look out, Will, 'cause here I come. I'm burning whiter than the sun. You don't scare me, I'm not shaking. Nothing's gonna slow me down. Nothing's gonna stop me. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Good job.
Eden is just an amazing child. She loves to learn. She loves to paint, sing, and be creative.
She loves to dance and twirl. She's curious about everything. She's a lot of fun to hang out with.
Throughout that first year, she seemed a little bit quiet. Her cry was quiet, and she wasn't babbling as much as other kids.
She was having all sorts of symptoms of labored breathing, and you can really hear it.
When she was about 1.5 years, it kept getting more pronounced. So I took her to the ENT.
He scoped her and immediately said, "We've got to go to surgery."
I was floored. That was the last thing I was expecting. He said that she was breathing through the tiniest pinpoint of an airway, that her airway was 90% obstructed.
And so we went to surgery the following morning. They removed what we thought was just a polyp.
When the doctor came back out, he said, "It's not what I thought it was. It's recurrent respiratory papillomatosis."
We didn't have any idea what that was, and he called it RRP. He said it's rare, that there was no cure.
When we got to the hospital room, she was just crying and confused, and it just broke my heart to think of her having to go through this.
It's devastating to a family not knowing if their child's going to live.
RRP is the most common benign neoplasm of the larynx. This manifests as lumps, growths, or warts that occur frequently on the voice box, including the vocal cords and the surrounding tissue. The mainstay of treatment is surgical excision. Unfortunately, despite the fact that we are able to remove the visible lesions, they tend to come back. Some children have had dozens or even hundreds of procedures in the operating room by the time they reach adulthood.
I had 32 surgeries.
It's a very unpredictable way of life. Sometimes the inflammation from surgery causes her to have no voice for 1 to 2 weeks. Sometimes every 30 seconds she's coughing, and every little labored breathing scares us. Is growth coming back? Do we need to get into surgery right away? We don't want her to be struggling breathing, but we also don't want to be going into surgery every 2 weeks.
Good morning, and I have surgery too.
Love you.
Love you.
The other thing that affects her is her ability to participate in activities. She loves gymnastics, taekwondo, but it's more taxing on her. She would have to work harder to take a breath that most of us take for granted. So that has caused her to sit out on certain things.
They can't run with the other kids and be free. They're living a life with this hanging over their head, whether they'll be able to breathe or if they're going to choke in their sleep.
And as she gets older, she's questioning things a lot more now. She's asking, why do I have to go to the hospital? Why does nobody else in our family have this? Why did God choose me to have this disease? I don't want it.
You can see there's a frustration. She wants to scream sometimes, and there's times where she wants to belt out a lyric. You can tell she's trying everything to yell it out, and it's just a soft whisper that comes out. And I think it's frustration of not having that voice that she hears other people have.
And it's just utterly gut-wrenching and heartbreaking to have to watch your child struggle with that. We're constantly thinking about how to best keep her healthy and safe while giving her a full childhood.
We just hope that Eden can live a wonderful life. We really want her to feel like she's just a normal kid. And we hope that we can find a cure in her lifetime.
We would want her to just live her best life and her authentic, true self.